This is a full buyer's guide video for the 2014 to 2022 Range Rover Sport, the L494 generation. This video, it's primarily going to be for the United States market, and in this first segment, we're going to be talking about the model year changes between 2014 to 2022. Obviously 2014, that's the very first model year, and to go through these changes, the first resource that I'm going to be sharing with you is Edmunds.com. They do a great job in compiling this information for us. So in 2014, this all new Range Rover Sport, it was available with the 3-liter V6 engine with 340 horsepower and 332 pounds-feet of torque. You were also able to get the 5-liter supercharged V8 with 510 horsepower and 461 pounds-feet of torque. Both engines were mated to the 8-speed automatic transmission. Love driving these vehicles, but is it worth it for you and your family? Well, I'll talk more about that towards the conclusion segment, but let's move on to the 2015 model year. All right, what's new? Well, we have a high performance SVR trim level for the 2015 model year, and we now get the HSE Limited and the Supercharged Limited trim levels as well. They also included a all-new smartphone app integration, and the new driver assistance package includes a lane departure warning system and 360-degree parking sensors as well. There were also some minor trim changes, including standard satellite and HD radio across the lineup for the 2015 model year. Okay, let's move on to 2016. In the US, we got the addition of a turbo diesel V6 engine, and Land Rover Range Rover also upgraded the parking cameras as well for 2016. The crawl control feature enhances the off-road versatility, while a self-lowering suspension called Auto Access Height eases the ingress and the egress when the vehicle is parked. We also got newly standard hands-free power tailgate, and also through the app you are able to lock and unlock the vehicle from your smartphone for 2016. All right, let's go on to 2017 now. We have some new features like a 10.2-inch touchscreen, and we get a lot more safety features as standard, like the automatic emergency braking, and they also made the blind spot monitoring and the rear cross traffic alert as standard for 2017. That's huge. And we also got lane departure warning with lane keeping assist. Now for 2018, this is the model year where we got a refresh for the exterior and the interior. So if that's important to you, consider the 2018 models and up. And also, if you're interested in the supercharged V8 model, the 2018 model year gets slightly more power for that supercharged V8. Now for 2019, that supercharged V8, it's available as the dynamic model, and we also got an optional weight sensing feature. Some of the option packages were changed, and midway through the model year, the supercharged V6 was replaced by the turbo inline 6-cylinder engine with the 48-volt mild hybrid system. Okay, once again, that's for the 2019 model year. And also 2019 is when these vehicles got Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. 2020, they introduced a new 4-cylinder plug-in hybrid powertrain, and of course that inline 6-cylinder engine introduced for 2019, it continues here, and a few of the trim features have been shuffled around, and Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, it's now standard apparently. Okay, 2021, getting close to the end here. They introduced the SVR Carbon Edition and the HSE Silver Edition. The optional air ionization system has now been improved for better air quality, and they no longer offer the diesel V6 engine for the 2021 model year. And of course, with this, there could be some other changes and updates, but these are just the main ones that Edmunds has compiled together. So there definitely can be some other updates and changes, but these are of course the important ones that Edmunds is highlighting to us, and it definitely gives us a good idea. The final model year for this generation, it's going to be 2022, and this is the last year, and they dropped that diesel engine along with the plug-in hybrid powertrain setup. They dropped both of these options, and finally they just made some minor changes to the optional and the standard equipment across the board. So hopefully that gives you a good idea and a good understanding of what you can expect for each of the model years of the Range Rover Sport. And another reason why I appreciate Edmunds is because They also offer a really good spec sheet as well. So whatever vehicle that you're interested in, just go to Google, and for this example, just type in 2014 Range Rover Sport Edmunds specs into Google, and usually the first result that pops up, it's going to feature the specs and features on the Edmunds website. So you just click on that link, and once again, Edmunds does a great job in capturing the original manufacturer specs. It's usually spot on and very accurate. And once again, this serves as a great research tool for you because it also shows you the original MSRPs for that particular model year. So the SE trim level back in 2014, it started at $62,600. This does not include destination, but whatever. It's serving as a good reference point for us. Then the HSE model, that started at $67,600, and the supercharged V8, that started at $79,100. The autobiography, $92,400 back in 2014. With that V6, you can expect 17 city, 23 out on the highway, had a massive fuel tank of 27.7 gallons. With that V6, we had a max tow rating of a little over 7,700 pounds. That's pretty nice. Overall length for these Range Rover Sports, it was 191 inches, which is a decent size. Should be able to fit this in a garage without too many issues. At the time, Range Rover estimated a 0 to 60 time for the V6 of around 6.9 seconds. Again, all on the Edmunds spec sheet website. It's great. And the V6 models, they weighed about 4,727 pounds. But most importantly, I like how when you scroll all the way down on the spec sheet, Edmunds has captured the original price for the packages and the trim levels for that particular model year. Again, this just serves as a really unique research and reference tool for us. So Edmunds is a phenomenal resource. I'm not going to go through every little spec here. You can of course do that in your own time. Right now, let's move on to my next resource where we can talk about the issues that you can expect with these vehicles. Okay, when talking about the issues that you can face with the Range Rover Sport, the L494 generation, I'm going to be going through a few different resources which are of course available to you for free. My number one favorite resource that I like to use when researching used cars, it's going to be NHTSA.gov. This website will show you the TSBs, or the manufacturer communications. These are the issues that the manufacturer themselves find with their own product. That's huge. Then we have a page for investigations, which are potential recalls. Then you can see the actual recalls. And the complaint section is very useful because that's where owners will write in regarding their own issues. So this is where you can get actual experiences and problems that real life owners are facing. And to get the most amount of information from this site, it's best to start with the first model year of the generation of the vehicle that you're interested in. In this case, that's going to be 2014. That way you can kind of get the full picture of what can go wrong. Of course, the first model year is always going to be the worst, but that's also where NHTSA has the most amount of information. And when you go to that manufacturer communication section, there are 1,326 TSBs. That's probably the most I have ever seen for any vehicle. That's pretty bad. And I'm obviously not going to go through all of it here because we'll be here all day, but I just want to show you these resources so you can do the research for yourself on whatever vehicle that you're interested in. But we have some potential manufacturing issues with the AJ126 replacement engines. Let's continue here. Potential manufacturing issue with replacement thermostats. And keep in mind, a lot of this actually repeats itself, so it's not really 1,326 individual issues. A lot of this is repetitive, and it can be some minor things as well, like a wording change on a owner's manual, something small like that. So really, you can take this number and cut it in half, maybe almost in a third actually, because that's just how much repetition that you can notice. But just going through this, I mean, just misfires or rough running. Customers may report that the front or rear door latch does not operate as expected. There can also be coolant low warning message displayed on the instrument panel cluster, chassis control module suspension warning on the cluster. I mean, the list just keeps going on and on. Moving over to the complaint section, there are 71 complaints. April 3rd of 2025, an individual with 72,000 miles on their 2014 Range Rover was informed by their dealership that the front suspension knuckles were fractured. Another person who had 165,000 miles on their 2014 Range Rover had pretty much all of their warning lights come up on their dash and the vehicle lost some power. I will get to that in a moment because I do have a story to share regarding that. Again, another person had a front wheel knuckle failure. Others are having additional suspension problems. The cylinder 4 in some of these engines are cracking. There's also someone writing in with a timing chain failure malfunction. Again, there's 71 of these. And regarding the recalls, I mean, a lot of the issues that were mentioned in the complaint section, they were talking about that may be turned into a recall. But with the 2014 model year, the other reason why I suggest inputting the first model year of a vehicle is to get an idea of all of the recalls that have happened. With the 2014, there are 10 recalls. And keep in mind, recalls are something that the manufacturer / dealership has to take care of for free because recalls can actually affect your personal safety. So that's of course going to be taken care of for free, starting with some of the oldest recalls. A lot of it had to do with the airbags. There was also an incorrect routing of the brake vacuum hose. The TPMS may not locate the sensors. Doors may unexpectedly unlatch when closed. That's a pretty bad one. That was back in 2015. And again, that same issue, the doors popping open, that came up again in 2019 and in 2020. Then in 2024, we had a detaching upper suspension arm. So that was the latest. And again, this is for the 2014 model year. Okay, you can just go up to 2017 and complaints and recalls and everything kind of go down a bit. So we have 43 recalls and 883 manufacturer communications still. Again, over half of that is going to be either fluff or repetition. But as you can see, the engine of the vehicle, because as I talked about previously, there are various engine options that you can choose from for this generation. Yeah, that's kind of the least of your issues. We have a lot of other electronic and suspension issues that plague pretty much all of these vehicles, regardless of the engine. Engine is just one component. A lot of people like to focus in on just the engine, just the transmission. No, there's more to a vehicle than that. There was also the plug-in hybrid version, much less data on those. We only had 64 TSBs and 0 complaints. Not a very popular model here in the States, but with the plug-in hybrid, there was a coolant leak in the engine compartment, which could cause a fire. This was a recall back in 2023 for the plug-in hybrid versions. Something to keep in mind. You go up to a newer model year like 2020, there are 24 complaints, 6 recalls, and 535 manufacturer communications. Some of the newer recalls have to do with the rear view camera not displaying. There's also a engine cam carrier that could leak, a high beam malfunction, etc. Even with a 2020 model year of the Range Rover Sport, there was an individual driving at 65 miles per hour and the engine just started to lose power on them. That happened around 46,000 miles for this person. Another individual had their auxiliary battery fail with no warning, leading to the brakes not working. Once again, that's with a 2020 Range Rover Sport. Regarding the TSBs for the 2020 Range Rover Sport, there are still coolant leaks in the engine area to watch out for. There are 48-volt mild hybrid electrical system malfunctions. There's also reported turbocharger, coolant feed, and return pipe O-ring leaks. Just a lot of nuanced issues affecting not only the engines, but also the suspension, the electrical systems, their dash lighting up like a Christmas tree. And even me personally, I have experienced firsthand some of these JLR electrical issues, like with a Jaguar F-Pace. I had a review unit where the electronic seats didn't function properly and the vehicle had issues going into reverse, and I had to literally turn off the vehicle, turn it back on again to have the vehicle go into reverse. With a new Land Rover Defender that I got to review, the whole vehicle just shut down on me. Thankfully, I wasn't moving. I was just at a red light, already stationary, so it wasn't that big of a deal. But I remember the car kind of hesitated to turn back on again. It was so weird and bizarre. And on the lease hacker community, I noticed that a lot of people who took advantage of the cheap Defender lease programs, because depending on the month, the Defenders were actually leasing out really well. And some owners who actually ended up getting those vehicles, they would have random problems and they would end up at the dealership for extended periods of time. So yeah, you get a brand new vehicle, it's covered under full factory warranty, so you're not paying anything out of pocket. That's cool. But I mean, these people would be waiting 3 to even 6 months to have their vehicles fixed, and that's just absurd. That's happened to a lot of individuals I've noticed. With the older Range Rovers, the generation before the L494, a gentleman that owned a used car dealership was telling me that their Range Rover had the issue where all of their warning lights would just pop up and then the engine would just shut off. And that happened to him on the highway. That is just wild. So yeah, you're gonna notice that in the comment section of videos like this, and even in the forums, you're going to notice people saying things like, oh, I've had my Range Rover for 300,000 miles and never had an issue with it. That's cool, and that is true. Like, there are people who have had no issues with their Range Rovers, but the issue is those individuals, they act like they are the rule and not the exception, and then they just totally disregard all of the resources that I'm talking about in this video and all of the real life experiences that I'm sharing with you right now from real owners that have had this vehicle, and even myself who just reviewed new vehicles and had issues. Some of these owners like to completely disregard all of these talking points. No idea why, but regardless, let's continue here with some more resources. So NHTSA.gov, that's obviously the #1 most legitimate resource that you can check out. But if you like NHTSA, then there's another website called carcomplaints.com. They basically compile together all of NHTSA's information in a slightly more digestible format, so you can kind of run Control F on your computer and just go through various issues a bit quicker. So if you like the carcomplaints.com interface, then definitely check that out as well. Next, we can go over some additional sources and websites that you can check out to do additional research on these vehicles. Okay, another powerful free resource that is available to all of us is Google, and surprisingly, not that many people use Google the way that it's intended for good research purposes. And now we even have like this AI overview that pops up. If you just type in something like Range Rover Sport L494 problems, you'll get a brief summary of the issues that you can run into regarding the L494 generation. Common problems include air suspension faults, turbo failures on certain models, oil leaks, potential engine issues, and we have some details here, like with the air suspension, this Google AI, it says that it is prone to faults due to its complexity, and symptoms include the vehicle not raising or lowering correctly, the dashboard warnings, and potential entering of a quote-unquote limp mode. And also, worn suspension components can also lead to issues. Of course, big, heavy luxury vehicles and SUVs, they are definitely going to be prone to more suspension parts wearing out due to the weight, especially as these vehicles age. Turbo failures can be common on the 2-liter Ingenium diesel models. Symptoms include a significant loss of power, an engine management light, and a lack of boost. Oil leaks are frequent due to faulty gaskets or seals. Engine issues, some of the 3-liter TD V6 engines have been reported to suffer from crankshaft failures. This AI result, it continues to go on to talk about infotainment system glitches that some owners have faced, along with some of the electrical problems, including issues with the telematics module. And basically this quick AI report, it's pulling information from credible websites, and it'll have that listed on the right side, like K Motors, Piston Heads, and the miles driven website. So you can actually go on the websites that this AI is referring to, like K Motors. This is actually a great resource for JLR products. But of course, a lot of their information, it is regarding the UK model vehicles, which may not apply to the United States market, but that's what I'm saying. The engines are just part of the issue. Like kmotors.co.uk, they have listed some of the diesel issues. So if you're watching this video in the UK, then K Motors has you covered. They also have the timing chain failure reported for the 2-liter Ingenium diesel engines as well. But again, it's not just about the engines. We also have front anti-roll bar bushes, which can wear out over time, leading to a less responsive and less stable steering response. There's also the front suspension tie bars, also known as the drop links. These can wear out as well, but not really a big surprise considering the fact that suspension issues, that's going to plague a lot of big, heavy luxury vehicles and SUVs, as I mentioned before. And we saw this in the NHTSA website as well, but the front suspension arms, that's definitely a big issue with these Range Rover Sports. And kmotors.co.uk, they do have approximate prices that you can expect to pay for some of these parts. These suspension arms, they're definitely going to cost over 200 pounds, which I'm guessing it's like over $300 here in the United States. The front hub and the bearing, that's an issue. Air suspension faults, no surprise there. These Range Rovers, again, due to their high curb weight, they are also known for going through discs and pads quite quickly, and the door latches are known to fail as well with these vehicles. Some people have also reported leaks, and that's kmotors.co.uk. Amazing resource for JLR products. You can also go to forums like the rangerovers.net forum where people ask questions and other owners try to answer. I mean, like a good 75% of a lot of these forums, they can be fluff, like just 75% of the people are either just talking nonsense or they're just talking about, oh, you should have posted this question in this area of the forum instead, so you have a lot of that you have to sift through. But eventually the last 25% of individuals answering, they will get to the question and typically offer really insightful answers. So if you have some patience, then definitely the forums are a valuable resource. You can also check out Reddit as well. But another website to consider is copilotsearch.com. This is kind of like an AI assisted website, and this site can help you out in telling you which model years to avoid, although typically the best model years to avoid are simply the first few, like, in this instance, 2014 to 2016. Although on Copilot, they're saying that 2018 is a model year that you might want to avoid due to suspension problems, sensor troubles, and a troublesome infotainment. And they're saying that 2017 seems to be a pretty good year to consider. But as I talked about towards the beginning of this video, some of the later model years like 2019 and up, they offer some technology updates that a lot of owners might appreciate. So I mainly just think that if you avoid the first few model years, you should be fine. So typically regarding the model years to avoid, I typically just say, avoid the first one or two, maybe even first 3 model years of a vehicle, but at least the first 2. But as always, if you are truly interested in buying a used vehicle, always make sure that the vehicle that you are interested in has a good maintenance record. And of course, on used ultra high-end luxury vehicles like this, get it inspected by a certified technician. Do that pre-purchase inspection, pay up to do that. That way you can, of course, avoid some headaches. And so far in this video, despite how long this video has been and despite all of the resources I've shared, I haven't even gone through like 10% of all the issues that you can face. You know why? That's because I hope a lot of individuals are beginning to understand this is just too much to cover. And if you are seriously considering a used Range Rover, you're on the hook for all of this and much more. These vehicles are literally totaling themselves in repair costs. And if you don't have a warranty, you're on the hook for everything. So the real answer to, if you should consider these vehicles or not is absolutely not. I mean, these vehicles are not designed to go past the second owner. In fact, there was a channel, Uncle Tony's Garage. He actually made a video talking about this. Yeah, these modern day vehicles, they're not designed to go past the second owner. You have the first owner who's wealthy enough to purchase brand new. They're not going to go through any issues because the manufacturer has a full warranty on these products. In the case of Range Rover, it's a 4-year, 50,000 mile warranty. Okay, cool. Then the vehicle is ready for a second owner as well. These Range Rovers and a lot of these luxury vehicles, they can be sold as certified pre-owned automobiles as well, with a small warranty attached to it, typically around 2 years. But the second owner also has to be rather well off to afford a certified pre-owned Range Rover, because yeah, it depreciated, but a good clean CPO Range Rover Sport, it's still going to be around $45,000 to $50,000. And I'll be talking more about CPO Range Rovers in a moment, but that's really the market for a lot of these modern day vehicles. The new owner and the secondary certified pre-owned purchaser. After that, the vehicle ends up being rather disposable. Why? Because parts costs are huge, especially for the luxury vehicles, but even on normal cars as well. But let's focus on Range Rover. As we just saw, lots of issues. I mean, the air suspension replacement costs can be brutal, plus the plethora of electrical issues. I mean, I'm friends with a master technician and he absolutely hates working on Range Rovers. They can be so obtuse. That's one thing, but aside from that, he was saying that pretty much all of these modern day vehicles, luxury or non-luxury, doesn't really matter, they just have so many electronics. You pretty much have to like major in IT to work on these vehicles. So they're not friendly to work on. A lot of these vehicles are trying to be like, dealer service only type of cars. But the older they get, the more issues that a lot of these modern day vehicles begin to develop, and the cost to repair to the stuff, it's just astronomical. And if these vehicles ever get into a crash, I mean, the insurance companies just end up totaling these vehicles, and now you have a lot of these modern day vehicles ending up in junkyards as well, because insurance doesn't want to deal with it due to the cost, and the average person can't really afford it either. So the sheer cost of running like a 10-15-year-old modern-ish type of vehicle like a Range Rover, or really any other luxury car, it's so high to the point where it's not designed to be run by that third tier customer anymore. And really, it's fine if Range Rovers and Benzes and things of this nature are designed to be disposable. Fine, those are luxury vehicles. The main issue comes when Toyotas and Hondas become disposable. Now we have a real issue, but that's another topic for another day. Really, the point of all of this is to have you understand that these vehicles are impossible to own without a proper warranty. People even till this day scoff at the idea of a warranty. So much misunderstanding around it. A lot of people, they are discouraged by like the regular powertrain warranties. They tend to be like the cheaper warranties that some people get sold on, and then they're surprised to find out that the powertrain warranty, which only covers the engine and the transmission, doesn't cover a suspension fault or an electronic issue. Yeah, you didn't pay for that. If you wanted that, you had to pay up for a bumper to bumper warranty that covers everything on the vehicle, which costs significantly more money. But how else do you run a car like this Range Rover with seemingly like infinite amounts of issues, primarily electronic and suspension oriented? I mean, you need coverage. And 4 companies that I have found after doing extensive research that offer pretty good coverage on used cars, it's going to be Fidelity, Portfolio One, Freedom, and Route 66. These 4 companies seem to be the best regarding used car warranties. Keep in mind though, on something like a used Range Rover Sport with like over 100,000 miles, expect to pay like $7,000 to even $10,000 on a full coverage bumper to bumper warranty that can last you like 5 years. Expect to pay around 7 to 10 G's. Maybe if you're lucky, like 6K, but I highly doubt it. You're probably going to be over 7K on a warranty like that. Some individuals like to say that, oh, instead of spending that $7,000 on a warranty, just put the money into a rainy day fund. First of all, that's actually assuming that you already have $7,000, which over 70% of the United States does not have $1,000 to their name. So they definitely don't have $7,000 to just put away into a savings account. If they do, they are wealthy. So really, for the Range Rover Sport to work out as a third tier buyer, even the third tier buyer has to be wealthy as well. So owner number 1, 2, and 3 all need to be wealthy, ideally. But let's take for a moment the individual who doesn't want to spend 7K or 10K on a warranty, which is understandable. Like I do understand that. All of the numbers surrounding a used Range Rover is ridiculous. But if you did want to try to maintain the vehicle yourself by having a good technician by your side, which is difficult to find nowadays, but regardless, let's say you have a good technician. Next, you would need resources like Rock Auto. That is a good website to purchase like aftermarket components, because obviously OEM parts cost a fortune. So Rock Auto, they sell some pretty decent, high quality aftermarket components. Many people even scoff at those parts, but let's be honest, we have to make this affordable somehow. So Rock Auto is a good resource for that. Air suspension is obviously a complete pain, not just due to the electronics, but also for the failure rate regarding air suspension. For my research and for my personal experience, when I had an LS460 Lexus with air suspension, I actually purchased the Strutmaster's air suspension conversion kit, and it was phenomenal. It rode just like the OEM air suspension with like 99% less complexity. On a Range Rover Sport, it's like $1,379 to buy this conversion kit, which is pretty much what like one air strut would have costed you to fix on a Range Rover Sport. So instead of doing that, you can buy this conversion kit for your entire vehicle. Once again, people are going to scoff at Strutmasters as well. Like anything that's remotely affordable, keep these vehicles on the road, you're going to notice that everyone in comment sections and forums are going to scoff at you for it. A lot of that scoffing will come from people who have bought things like this. They try to install it themselves, they screw it up, and then they blame the product. There's a lot of that going on as well. But even my master technician who works on Mercedes, BMWs, Audis, Porsches, etc., he of course recommends Strutmasters as well. In fact, even on his wife's Mercedes GL, he's got the Strutmaster kit. It's been flawless. And the reason why he recommends Strutmaster so much is because each of these conversion kits, they are designed for that specific vehicle. It's not just a generic coilover kit that's supposed to fit multiple different vehicles. No, when you buy a Strutmaster's kit, it's designed for a Range Rover Sport, an LS460 Lexus, an S-Class Mercedes, etc. And I can attest to that. These vehicles do mimic that OEM ride quality. So Strutmasters is great if you're looking at a vehicle with air suspension and you want to replace that. You fix a lot of complexity right there. Rock Auto, that's going to help you out with some affordable suspension components as well. So I talked about 4 different car warranty companies that you can consider: Fidelity, Portfolio, Freedom, Route 66, and some websites that you can go to purchase additional parts if you want to quote unquote be the warranty yourself. And no matter which warranty company you decide to work with, make sure that the warranty that you are buying is a pro-rated warranty. What does pro-rated mean? Well, if you decide to sell the vehicle early, you are able to get a partial refund for the amount of the warranty that you did not use. Like, let's say you got a 6-year bumper to bumper warranty and you paid $6,000 for it. Well, if you sell the vehicle in 3 years, you are eligible to get back $3,000 as a refund to you for that unused portion, if that makes sense. And these are the only types of warranty programs that you should be buying, are these prorated ones. If it's not prorated, don't even bother. But what about the manufacturer's own certified pre-owned program? Well, let's talk about that next. Okay, regarding certified pre-owned Range Rovers, you're going to get 1 year of coverage with unlimited mileage, or more realistically, 2 years / 100,000 miles, whichever comes first. And the original new vehicle warranty, it was around 4 years, 50,000 miles of coverage, plus an additional 2 years. About 6 years of coverage is what Range Rover is willing to do on their own vehicles. I guess they're saying that anything past that is basically a bonus. I mean, this is what I'm saying. That third tier buyer who is considering these vehicles after the certified pre-owned warranty is up, they should really look into the third-party warranties that I suggested before, or try to be as resourceful as you can. Try and work on and maintain these vehicles on your own, and use websites like Rock Auto and Strutmasters to purchase high-quality aftermarket parts for the vehicle to keep it running. Anyway, with the certified pre-owned program, of course, you have worry-free ownership for 2 years, and you also get roadside assistance 24/7 for that CPO time period. There's no deductibles on that warranty. Some of the third-party warranty companies that I mentioned, like Fidelity, Route 66, Portfolio, and Freedom, they might have a deductible depending on which one of their warranties you select. And Range Rover also claims that the certified pre-owned warranty is transferable. And for a vehicle to be eligible as a certified pre-owned vehicle, it's got to be less than 5 years old, and it must have less than 60,000 miles. This is good to know, because if you end up finding a vehicle that's quote unquote certified pre-owned, but it's over 5 years old and it has more than 60K miles on it, that's a pretty big red flag. Either that dealership doesn't know what they're doing, or they're just trying to get one over on you. And that's not cool. But with this certified pre-owned coverage, maintenance is not mentioned or included, so that's going to be on you most likely. And you can check out the official Range Rover maintenance schedule, once again, just by doing a quick Google search, and various dealerships will write blog articles and they will have the Range Rover maintenance schedule laid out for you, so you can follow that. If you're going to do this on your own, make sure to document every maintenance item that you do in a journal somewhere, and keep your receipts as well for any parts that you purchase. Keep that all in a folder in case you have to sell the vehicle or anybody asks about it. But there are other benefits with going with a certified pre-owned Range Rover. You do typically get slightly lower interest rates when you finance on a certified pre-owned Range Rover, as opposed to, some other Range Rover that you find at another dealership that's not certified pre-owned. Pretty much on every vehicle, they're showing, as of right now, April of 2025, about 4.99% between 12 to 60 months of financing. However, they are not including the Range Rover Sport or the full-size Range Rover. I'm guessing those two vehicles are not qualifying for this incentivized finance rate. So you're probably paying over 4.99%, which is really unfortunate. That means you will have to find the financing on your own, and that's going to be the next segment of this video. Okay, if you need to find funding for a used vehicle in the United States, two of the best resources that I know of is Lightstream by Truist Bank and also PenFed. And PenFed is a credit union, but you don't have to be military or anything. You can just open up a savings account, dump $5 into there, and you're automatically a PenFed member, so that's good. PenFed seems to have the best interest rates for the most part in the country for used vehicles. Up to 72 months, it's like 5.99%. That's not bad. With Lightstream, for 72 months, assuming you have perfect credit, all of this assumes that you have perfect credit, and you're doing auto pay payments, then you can get 72 months for 6.99%, or it'll be like 7.49% if you don't do the auto pay. And with Lightstream, they apparently charge you a bit less interest when you buy a used car from a dealership as opposed to an individual. Regardless of that, Lightstream is a bit higher, about 1% higher in terms of interest compared to PenFed as of April of 2025. However, the reason why I bring up Lightstream is because if you truly were serious about buying a used, luxury vehicle like this, and you wanted that, expensive warranty to cover you for like 5-6 years, and it's going to cost you like an additional $7,000. Well, you can actually tell Lightstream that, the vehicle that you want to buy is like $15,000, and you want to purchase an additional quality warranty for $7,000. So instead of passing you a loan for $15,000, they'll actually give you a loan for $22,000. Lightstream, that is. PenFed, I'm not sure if they will do that. They might, it's worth asking them, but I know Lightstream is more flexible when it comes to these things. Also, if you want to like modify your car, like if you want to get, new wheels, or if you want to get PPF or a wrap done on your vehicle, you can actually get a quote for that and just tack on that money on top of the Lightstream loan. That way you're not coming out of pocket for all of these things. So that is pretty cool, especially since a lot of the pay cash people, what they fail to understand is a concept known as opportunity cost. It takes forever for a normal individual to save up $10, $15, $20, $30, $50,000, but it takes mere seconds to blow all of that money. So this is good because you don't have to blow all the money. You can actually have that money sitting in a savings account for another more useful purpose, like putting money down on a first home, a wedding, student loans, investing, etc. But of course, you can do whatever you want with your money. None of this is financial advice. I'm literally just showing you resources that you can use. Also, one of the best auto loan calculators will be calculator.net. You can input the numbers, you can even input sales tax, fees, registration, etc. And you can calculate how much interest everything is going to end up being over the course of a loan. What I would suggest you doing is maybe take out like a 72-month loan, but pay it off as if you're paying a 48-month loan, where you can have that cushion. Like, let's say in certain months you can't pay $527 a month, you're able to just get away with paying $375 a month. So I like that flexibility. That's pretty good. But of course, PenFed is the clear winner for the lowest interest rate possible, to the point where it's not that much more than even the certified pre-owned finance rate from Land Rover, Range Rover themselves. And if you are going to finance or lease a vehicle and you're not going to put down any money down, that's fine, but you should get something known as gap insurance. Now, gap insurance, it's going to protect you if, God forbid, you get into an accident or you total the vehicle. Gap insurance is going to essentially cover the gap in value from, your totaled vehicle to what you financed the vehicle for at the start. You won't be ending up in a negative equity situation or paying out of pocket for the loss of the vehicle. Gap insurance will cover it. But if you are going to get gap insurance, make sure that the gap insurance is also pro-rated, so you can get a portion of that money refunded back to you if you end up selling the vehicle early. But what is the market like on a used Range Rover Sport? In the United States as of April of 2025? Well, I like to use the website called Car Gurus to run searches on nationwide vehicles. And when I did a search and I filtered out all of the accident vehicles, the lemon cars, etc. The reason why I do that is because accident vehicles are really something you want to avoid because you have no idea how the body shop put that vehicle back together. Inexperienced body shops, they can screw certain things up. This is another thing that my master technician friend was telling me. You can have like wires that are like grinding up against the bumper when you go over every single bump, and then over time it'll like wear out certain wire harnesses, causing additional electrical issues. It's just best to avoid accident cars, and it's pretty easy to do that on the Car Gurus website. Granted, just because you did that on Car Gurus doesn't mean that you're completely safe. There are some shady dealerships that will kind of hide that Carfax information from you. So you have to do your extra due diligence and really research certain dealerships as well. Ask for all of the official paperwork and the Carfax info. Anyway, after I did that, you're left with a little under 2,000 results in the United States for L494 Range Rover Sports. Price at the absolute lowest end, it's going to range from $10,500 all the way up to $99,500 for a top tier SVR trim with low miles on it. That's quite the spread. Of course, I see the comment section of a lot of these automotive videos, and they're like, oh, I would love to have a Range Rover Sport, and $10,000, $15,000. That's like the exact amount of money that they are able to spend, and this is something that they've always dreamt of purchasing. I mean, I won't deny it. It is epic to know that you're able to purchase pretty much a six-figure-esque luxury vehicle for like 10, 15K. That looks really good, mind you, and has incredible performance. I didn't mention this, but I love the way Range Rover products drive. They just have so much character. I see why so many individuals are in love with this product. Not only does it look baller, but it drives amazing as well. Actually has character, and it's very engaging. But I mean, yeah, if you can actually find a clean $15,000 Range Rover Sport and you pay like 7 Gs for a warranty and it's covered for like 5 years, then I suppose that's fine. But you know, if you're gonna play this game, I would rather you do this with, you know, a somewhat decent and reliable vehicle, maybe like a Lexus RX or a Porsche Cayenne maybe. The amount of just electronic gremlins that plague these vehicles, yeah, I just don't know if it's worth the headache. Yes, it's beautiful. Yes, it does drive amazing. And if the vehicle for whatever reason doesn't drive amazing, this applies for any used vehicle. Usually an alignment can take care of like a lot of issues with how a vehicle drives and feels. Plus really good tires help as well, of course. On the low end, some of the most affordable tires that actually perform pretty good are like the Kumo tires and the Nexus tires. I've noticed they perform pretty well if you want a good new tire on a budget. Anyway, you can also sort by certified pre-owned vehicles on Car Gurus, and there's about 152 CPO Range Rover Sports available for sale throughout the country. There is one listed for about 30 grand, and it's a 2016 model year. Obviously, we know that that is not an eligible CPO vehicle. To be a CPO Range Rover, it needs to be less than 5 years old with less than 60,000 miles on it. 2016, that's over 5 years old, of course. But the truly cheapest Range Rover Sport that's certified pre-owned, it is about $35,000. But typically, you're going to be paying over $45,000 to about $50,000. Depends on the mileage, and it depends on if it's like the inline six engine or if it's actually the supercharged V8. Obviously, the supercharged V8 will have more miles for the equivalent amount of money that the inline six is going to go for in the used car market, if that makes sense. A lot of these certified pre-owned Range Rovers, they have between 30 to 50,000 miles on it. It's pretty common. And with all that established, let's go ahead and let's conclude this video. Okay, concluding thoughts on the L494 Range Rover Sport. I love how it looks. I love how it drives. I even love the interior space of these Range Rover vehicles. Everything is on point, and there are even some very attractive prices in the used car market. But does it make sense to you and your family? Well, a lot of it depends on how you decide to purchase these vehicles. It depends on your personal skill level if you can do some of the maintenance work yourself, because no warranty is going to cover the maintenance. There are additional maintenance packages that you can pay for, but at that point that gets ridiculous. You're going to have to maintain this and you have to be on point with it. I showed you plenty of resources online as to what to watch out for regarding these vehicles. Obviously it was too much to cover and this video is already too long. The main takeaway is that there's genuinely too much that can go wrong with these ultra luxury vehicles. It's enough to genuinely bankrupt someone if everything goes wrong. And that's scary, and it's supposed to be scary. As mentioned before, these luxury vehicles, it's only really meant to serve the first two buyers. You know, the new buyer and the CPO buyer. Then the third buyer, it's kind of just up in the air. Typically, it's even rich people that end up being the third buyer as well. They just have so much money to blow. It's just fun for them to buy a $10,000 or a $15,000 Range Rover just for the heck of it. If it blows up, they don't care. But when it works really well, they begin to brag online and they act like they are the rule and not the exception. But those who are operating on a budget, like most people, they should be very careful. This might be a boring answer, but Lexus RX 350, that is my go-to used car choice for sure. It's still got prestige. It still drives great. It's actually dependable. It's actually logically laid out. A regular person can watch some YouTube videos and work on that vehicle yourself. You can maintain the vehicle yourself. It's brilliant. And another luxury SUV that you can consider once again with the warranty would be like a Porsche Cayenne perhaps. Porsche quality is rather high. Of course, no product is perfect. I'm just saying though. Regarding new vehicle alternatives, I mean, the number one new car resource I like to recommend always in my videos is AutoCompanion, who is one of the largest car brokers in the United States. He has substantial discounts on a lot of various new vehicles, economy brands, luxury branded vehicles. Also, throughout this video, I mentioned a lot of different companies, websites, products, etc. I am not affiliated with any of them, but I am affiliated with AutoCompanion. This is a company that I am partnered with. If you purchase a vehicle through them, I will receive a small commission. Keep that in mind. Regarding luxury branded vehicles at a somewhat reasonable price, I mean, he's got like Infiniti QX60s for like $600 a month on a lease with like a 12% discount off of MSRP before incentives. That's not bad. There are some random EVs like BMW i4s and i5s that lease out for about $500 to $600 a month as well, with substantial discounts, of course. There's also like a Jeep Grand Cherokee that you can lease out for around $450 a month with 13% off the MSRP. You can get a Nissan Pathfinder, which kind of looks like a Range Rover from the back, 13% off for about $600 a month on a platinum top of the line trim. If you don't care about brand image, then, you know, Mazda CX-90 is like a really nice SUV. You can get those for between $450 to $550 a month as well, if you just want like, you know, a luxury-esque interior with some nice features. But those are just some of the big SUV deals that he has. But AutoCompanion is primarily located in the Washington, D.C. area. He can ship nationwide, but shipping is something you have to pay extra for. He also charges a broker fee to access his deals. He did say that if you fill out an inquiry form on his website and you mention my channel, Meyn Motor Group, he did say that he'll take some money off of his broker fee. That's nice of him. I mean, even if you had to pay the broker fee and nationwide shipping on a lot of these vehicles, you're still under invoice, which is cool, but you know, that's on a new vehicle. That may or may not work out for everyone. I just like to share with my audience every single avenue that there is. Hopefully the used car resources helped you out. Hopefully you got a understanding on what you can expect with a lot of these used luxury vehicles. No car is perfect, but some people who aren't that knowledgeable about cars, they think that brands like Range Rover, Mercedes-Benz, Lamborghini are going to be like really reliable cars because they cost a lot of money. There's a lot of people who think that way, and that's absolutely not the case. But if you found value with this content, make sure to like and subscribe. Thank you again for watching. Take care and goodbye.